Hey guys, let's talk a little bit about boxing. See, I've been meaning to make this video for a while now. I don't know why I haven't gotten around to it, but for whatever reason, I just always found a way to. I always found a reason to just kind of put it back. But I mean, it's a fairly simple video, but I'm making it now, so there's no point in talking about it. Anyway, this is about uh, the sanctioning bodies of boxing. No one really ever. I mean, people mention it sometimes in their videos and stuff like that, but no one really ever takes the time out of their day to actually compare the different sanctioning bodies. The championship belts. Okay, we have four major leather belts in each division in boxing. There is the IBF, the WBC, the WBA, and the WBO. And of course, some, in my opinion, are far more credible than the others, and that's what this video is going to be about. Me giving credit to the respected organizations, and me sort of asking the not so credible organizations to step it up. And I'm going to start off by talking about, it's going to go in order from the least credit or the least respectable organizations to the most respected. At least this is all subjective, by the way. These are all just my opinions. I'm only a casual fan. You can also take that into account as well when you listen to this. But just from the things I've seen in the past few years, I mean, there's clearly a difference in the class when it comes to these organizations. So I'm going to start off by, like I said, I'm going to start off with the one I like, my least favorite organizations to my most favorite organizations. And first one up is the WBO organization. Okay, so the WBO sanctioning body, or in other words, the World Boxing Organization, is the furthest down my personal rankings list because of the fact that, for one, they hardly enforce mandatories. Okay, very rare you see a guy that has a championship by them be ordered to fight someone, and when they do, there's always, you can always suspect that the WBO is playing some sort of favoritism towards towards fighters on the HBO side. I mean, just look at the situation with Saul Canelo Alvarez and Billy Joe Saunders. Saul Canelo Alvarez, he was just at middleweight, but he vacated the WBC belt so that he can move back down to a junior middleweight. Yet somehow, when he fights at junior middleweight, he somehow manages to become a mandatory for Billy Joe Saunders' belt. It makes absolutely no sense. These are the types of things I'm talking about. Same thing with Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, he's a great champion. Don't get me wrong. However, the level of ease that he's able to take hold of that belt is ridiculous. Now, when you look at someone that's not part of the whole WBO, not even the whole HBO umbrella, and they're holding on to that belt, for some reason it just seems a lot more difficult. So yeah, the WBO belts, in my opinion, they're definitely the easiest belts to obtain, but also at the same time the hardest, depending on what umbrella you sort of work under. Okay, like if you're someone like Floyd Mayweather who doesn't work with HBO that much, the WBO belt is that much more difficult to hold on to. Does anybody believe that story that Floyd Mayweather could not afford to pay a sanctioning fee? Floyd Mayweather, the richest boxer in the sport today, or at the time when he was holding that belt? I don't think so. So yeah, that's why the WBO is furthest down my list, because they show a lot of favoritism, in my opinion. So the WBA organization, in my opinion, is levels above the WBO organization, which, by the way, the WBA stands for World Boxing Association. But anyway, yeah, there's nothing wrong with the WBA organization. That's why this segment is going to be pretty short in the video. They're not bad, okay? They do, every once in a while they do enforce mandatories, okay? They're like the WBO in the sense that they don't do it frequently. However, they at least don't show the same level of favoritism that the WBO does, which is what sets it apart from the WBO. And I do like the whole system they have with the super champion. When you are holding more than one belt, they tend to be more lenient towards you, and as far as mandatories go. They'll promote you to a super champion, and then they'll have another regular champion set for someone else to hold on to a regular belt, and they'll allow you to pretty much handle the mandatories with your other belts. And I do like that side of the WBA organization. It just seems like if you're going to unify belts, this would be the perfect belt for you. Okay, so the International Boxing Federation, or in other words, the IBF organization, in my opinion, is the second best, when it comes to credibility, when it comes to being, what's my favorite, my personal preference. It's the second best organization out there for as far as sanctioning bodies go. And that's because, unlike the WBO and the WBA, they actually enforce mandatories. Well, look, let me rephrase that, okay? Because the WBA and the WBO, they do enforce mandatories, but when the WBO enforces them, it's normally for, like I said, guys on their HBO bracket, under that HBO umbrella. There's a lot of corruption that happens in boxing, especially when it comes to the WBO side of things, okay? And then when it comes to the WBA, whenever you hear a mandatory being enforced, it's like once in a blue moon. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I can't remember the last time maybe like what Gennady Golovkin and Daniel Jacobs, they're about to fight. But like, again, it's once in a blue moon when you hear about mandatories being enforced in the WBA. So that being said, the IBF is definitely, they're definitely they enforce the most mandatories, in my opinion, when it comes to boxing. I mean, there's mandatory after mandatory, and actually that also leads into my problem with the IBF. I actually think they enforce too many mandatories. Okay, they enforce so many mandatories that it's like you almost think that they're fishing for names to give these champions. Like, look at what happened with the whole situation with Kell Brook. Who the fuck was Kevin Bezier? Does anyone know who Jojo Dan is? Same thing with Gennady Golovkin. Who's Dominic Wade? That's my problem with the IBF. I actually, like, as much as I love the fact that they do enforce mandatories and make these champions, not choose all of their opponents, I hate the fact that, they enforce so much of them that guys that haven't even made the names for themselves start getting that opportunity. So that's my issue with the IBF. I would actually ask them to enforce less mandatories, and when they do enforce a mandatory, make sure it's against a guy that's very credible, very noteworthy. Someone like an Errol Spence Jr. That's a mandatory that's worth enforcing for Kell Brook. So that's my opinion on the IBF organization, and that's why the IBF organization is ranked second in my personal favorites as far as, what's the most credible, what's the most respectable, all that stuff. My favorite is, again, it's all subjective, but that's my second. Now, let me get, last but not least, all right, let me get on to the WBC organization. Now, last but certainly not least is the WBC sanctioning body, which is an acronym for World Boxing Council. This is my favorite sanctioning body in the sport of boxing today for a multitude of reasons. Okay, for one, this is just a personal reason, but a lot of my favorite fighters are holding the WBC belt or have held the WBC belt. Floyd Mayweather, he always held that belt. Dan Garcia, he's currently holding that belt. Terrence Crawford, he has a WBC belt. A lot of my favorite fighters are holding that belt. Deontay Wilder, Jamal Charlo. And here's another thing about the WBC. Even though they don't enforce as many mandatories as the IBF, when they do enforce a mandatory, it's always against a credible opponent. Someone that's very noteworthy. Okay, look at Dan Garcia. He's going to have a mandatory coming up against Amir Khan if he gets past Keith Thurman. Okay, that's number one. Look at Jamal Charlo. He just defended his belt against Julian J-Rock Williams, a prospect that's been making a lot of buzz in the sport of boxing. Okay, we have more. Deontay Wilder. He was supposed to face off with Alexander Povetkin last year, and we would have seen that fight if Povetkin hadn't been doping in the process. Which brings me to another reason as to why I love the WBC. They've now implemented this anti-doping system where where they pretty much they have mandatory VADA drug testing for the championship fights. I mean, not only do they enforce mandatories, but they are also a very clean organization. I can't praise the WBC sanctioning body enough. Like I love them. Okay, they enforce mandatories. They show the least amount of favoritism. All right, a lot of people like to accuse the WBC sanctioning body for what happened with the Gennady Golovkin situation, but remember, he was paid off, all right, in order to allow Saul Canelo Alvarez to keep that belt. Okay, he was given an option: either take the money or take the belt, and Gennady Golovkin chose to take the money first. And so, yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the WBC has done nothing but good things in recent memory. All right, you guys can feel free to correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section, but yeah, that's my ranking list. Okay, I have the WBC up top as the best sanctioning body. Then the IBF comes right after it as a close second. The WBA is next, and then the WBO. If you let me know if you agree or disagree. I'm a casual fan, so you know that this is all just subjective. Okay, I'm giving you the facts, or at least if you feel that I've given wrong information, let me know down in the comment section, and I'll add it to my description if I see it. But yeah, that's about it. I'm just a casual fan, but you don't have to be an expert to give your opinion on something. So, with that being said, take it easy, people.